Jesse, hey, congratulations on your short film, bitch. I'm early.
Oh, I'm loving hearing you say it. Like, so it's always the first test. Like, will they say it or will they use the acronym or will they just not say it? And you came right out with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How in the world do they use the acronym for it? It's literally in the title, right?
But it's BIE. So it's by, which actually works for the ending of the film. But yeah. So yeah,
Oh.
I'm all for bitch, I'm early. I think it's great. But when you hear your mom saying it, it's the best. My mom's like, later in years, and she's like, bitch, I'm early. So I'm like, please say it again, mom. I love you. She's amazing.
That is amazing. But more congratulations being
Thank you.
what? Showcase at the Dances with Films in
Yeah,
New
thank
York
you so much.
City. I mean, how do you feel about that?
It's amazing. Look, the level of film is high, right? And I've look, I'm not please don't take this as disparaging universe, not you, but universe. Like I've gone to some festivals and some of the quality was just not there. It just is what it is. And then less, even more so, the care by the festival givers was not there. Like I mean, I'm usually the guy that's like, why is like the film's out of focus and I'll run into the booth, even when it's not my film. Because this is somebody's passion. Like somebody killed themselves on this thing for X amount of time, was so thrilled to be here. There's nobody in the audience. This thing is completely different. It's amazing. Like they're beautiful people. Like the founders, the Leslie and Lindsay, who's programming the shorts, and every other person I've met, they're all passionate people. They're just like the filmmakers who are there. They care about quality. They care about establishing some sense of meritocracy in this universe that has almost none of it. And so that's amazing. And every filmmaker I've met has been amazing and nice and wonderful and opening and wants to hear about my project. I want to hear about them. I want to get coffee with them. Maybe I'll find a way to work with them. I don't know. It's very cup filling so far. But and just the tech. I'm a perfectionist when it comes. I mean, look, here I am at the shallow depth of field and a poster behind me. I care about. I'm loving, by the way, what's on your wall. I'm trying to read it as we speak. But like their tech is perfect. And that the only way you get that way is care. I mean, their badges, their branding, like that just makes me feel like this is a professional operation. The films look great in like digital cinema. They sound amazing. Every wall has like a projection screen with all the signage, and they're kind. So yeah, I can't go on enough about being happy to be in this festival. And I'd to be honest with you, I'd rather be in this one than one that is considered quote unquote bigger because I feel like it belongs here.
Well, that is great to hear, and I was fascinated about your film, "Bitch, I'm Early," but we always have to ask that obligatory question: where the original idea came from for "Bitch, I'm Early."
I was a really damaged child. I'm gonna make him a new answer every time I answer this thing. No, listen, I worked in offices for many years. When I was 18, I worked in a Japanese bank. I dropped out of high school and I wound up in a Japanese bank. It's crazy. I got my master's degree. I figured I fixed it. So right, so it's okay. Don't worry, Dad. Right? I've lost my mind. So I worked at a Japanese bank and the corporate culture there, which is obviously very different than American corporate culture.
Mhm.
And then over the years, I've worked in many circumstances where I went into an office and I just saw all the backbiting, job justifying, middle management soaking up resources, and really just kind of pitting people against each other, people making different salaries and being jealous over it. No one really knowing how to move forward and participate more in the American dream of buying more stuff. I mean, it's really rich and layered and awful in a lot of ways. And the most thing, just inhuman. You can't have a conversation like this. You couldn't come in the room and say, "Bitch, I'm early."
Mhm.
Where you could just have a real moment between two people. And you get them. Don't get me wrong, but it's sort of set up for everybody. I mean, think about the uniform itself. It's like you come in and you have to dress a very particular way. With back in the days with a super tight tie. My father used to say that the tie cuts off oxygen to the brain, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with corporations, and there's wonderful people in some corporate culture, but just the way these things are set up and the sort of competitive nature of it to get the dollar, right? And you may not even be happy what you're doing. You may not even feel like you're affecting the universe at all. You're just going to a job because usually the thing's 42 levels above you that's benefiting in a severe way. And maybe the thing you're doing, you're not curing cancer. You're doing the small thing. Maybe you're at a big ad agency and you're just a person that runs calls and your coworkers are nasty to you. And you're like, but you get to be nasty on the calls. And like, this is what happens. It reverberates. And even me, when I was in some of those cultures, like it doesn't bring out the best me. You know, I
Mhm.
can become defensive when I feel attacked, even in a passive aggressive way. So these kind of things work their way into art, right? And what I want to say about it, like in Office Space or other things that covered it brilliantly, I'm like, no, this is horrible, and I'm gonna mock you for it. And I'm gonna take, something like Office Space and not take it further because it's brilliant, but make it in my world more cinematic, um, and sort of draw you into a universe of like real constant absurdity, just to and then bring you back down. What I'll do is mix, the absurd and then come straight back to normal, maybe like an Edgar Wright or there's other brilliant directors to do this, and I'm not saying I'm brilliant, but like that's the effort is to, make things that sort of are so big, but yet feel so 100% real at the exact same time, so that you can both make people laugh at the of themselves and the role that they played. I played this, for a very small group of people in a bar, right? So it was
Mhm.
not public, but it was like, hey, you were in the bar, and these two women immediately, I didn't know them, came up to me. That's the most New York story I've ever seen, because it was them, because they've experienced it. Everyone has. It's like if you've worked for 2 minutes in any office, you know exactly what that is.
That is so true, and it's such a and I do have to say it is such a New York story. It's very appropriate for dances with films in New
Mm,
York City. But
thank you.
tell us about filming that on the streets of New York. I mean that can't be easy.
Mm-mm. It's like, at what point do I start lying? I'm just kidding. Right? No, listen, it's all hard. I think getting some of the locations is even harder. The city is nerve-wracking because like doing it is simple. You just shoot with the camera. Like, I mean, there's nothing to it. And if you don't bother anybody, nobody's going to bother you. Really, because nobody cares here. It's not Los Angeles in this way. That's why I
Mhm.
lived in LA for 7 years. You shoot anywhere, 17 cop cars pull up and ask you what you're doing. You go in a location, they want $30,000, right? Like here, it's different. Like we don't, you want to wear what you want to wear, you want to be who you are, we don't care. It's not that we're against it or for it. We just don't care because there's too many people, too much to do, So you just don't notice. So people have an argument in the street, you just keep walking. Like this is just the culture. So somebody's filming in the street. Usually they're nice. One cop, I ran into him and he said, like, he's like, oh, God, man, I don't care. Like, you laughed. He like, thought we got a kick out of it. So it's actually super welcoming. And there's, as long as you're not disturbing anybody, getting anybody's way, it's fine. You don't want to get clubbed over the head and have your camera stolen. That would suck. And
Yeah.
it's a very anxious feeling because I'm not blocking off city streets to do this. One day I'll have the budget to do that. And that's the dream, not the dream, the goal. Like, and we'll see if we get there. But if not, I'll just, all the audience sees is images and sounds anyway. I'll just make more movies the way I'm doing it and just keep reaching more and more people. And hopefully, entertaining people like yourself. That's the goal. And we reach you with images and sounds. They do the same thing. Whether you have $100 million in it or you have $2 in it, it's an image and a sound. And if they both make you laugh, what's the difference?
Well, I have to admit it doesn't look like you put $2 into this project.
A little
That's for
more than two.
sure.
A little more than two. A little more than two. A little bit of sanity. I'm going to pay for it in therapy. Okay.
Now the thing is, even though we laugh at it, you put the thrills into between two women, and what helped with the thrills is your violinist. Tell us about the choice of the music that you actually put into this.
So there's several layers to this. Shout out Elizabeth Sung, who's a brilliant violinist. And one day I saw her playing in a venue close by, and I walked in, and she was related to the person in the venue, and I said, "Who is this person?" And at that point, I was just warming up for the films. So I was shooting everything. I would walk into businesses and say, "I'll do a video for free," because I just want to shoot, and I made cinematic little movies out of their businesses because it was fun. And I got to know a lot of people, and then those are the businesses I wound up shooting in later because we became fast friends, and they've got great content. They didn't have to pay for it. It's just all love. So I saw her, and I had this music already in the film that was, and ironically, one of the cello piece. It's not a violin piece, but it's not everybody on the outside. It just they assume, and just had this like incredible talent and vibe. And so I just came up with this character that was ethereal, and I said to myself, like, there's an interesting moment as a filmmaker. It's a lot of his design, right? A lot of his logic, a lot of his what's behind you. It's like what you're doing, what you got to do, steps to get it done, and it's got to be executed in a certain way. And then there's the feeling, like a gut feeling. And this was a gut feeling moment where I kept saying, like, this violinist, I'm shooting this. This character is not real, but she is. she's going to play a role, but she's more of like the watcher. We called her Lady Fate. We couldn't come up with the right name for her. She's a morality test in the very end after the credits. So she plays a huge role, but she's also the heartbeat of the film. So I had to combine this feeling and stick to it because my brain's like, "What are you? This is crazy." When you watch it now, everybody says, "No, it makes complete sense." But when I was making it, and you come up with this weirdo character, like this doesn't. Why would I do this? But my gut said it's awesome, and she had an awesome vibe and a talent, and I said, "Let's just go shoot a bunch of stuff." And the footage looks amazing, and yeah, that's how we got there. And then when I put it in, it just like it gives me just think about it like sentences, right? And this is a very particular cadence to it. And so this is where my style has got to at this point and is going to evolve into the next film, which is this kind of pace and cadence. And I'm really interested by it because, it's my own brain, right? It's unique to
Yeah.
me, not better or worse. It's just my way of doing things that's different than any other filmmaker. And so I get to use her talent in those moments as like almost like exclamation points or commas in sentences. Anytime I want to like jazz it up, I just go to her because it allows it. It's sort of saying like, and the whole thing is a symphony of movement. So I think in a lot of ways it was successful, but it was fun. It's fun coming up with these crazy ideas that you wouldn't normally do and just going for it. Why not? And I want to shout out really quickly Michelle Batista, who plays the younger of the two actresses, and Jacinia, who I think is so brilliant. They're both incredible how they play off each other because I'm so grateful to my cast. Anytime I can mention them and help their careers go somewhere because they don't just deserve it; they've earned it with their hard work. So yeah. That's my violinist.
I was gonna say your two lead actresses play off well for each other, but I do have that question is when you're creating a corporate tigers like this, the in this case they're very similar, but yet you want to distinguish them to be a little bit different in
Right.
their own way, and
Mhm.
that's what you did.
Thank you. And the way I think I did that was, and this unfolded as we went a little bit, but the more I thought about it, I was really fascinated by the fact that they are similar and they're similar ethnic backgrounds, right? So you could see them being almost the same person. They're two sides of the same coin, but not sort of stated that way in the beginning because the beginning's all about the differences between them. And the idea of like how one person in an office, you have to almost justify your cruelty to the other. And you have to find the things that are different. And this is what society does to people is it pushes you instead of pushing us together and saying we're all human or we're all part of this human ecosystem, like it finds way for us to pick at each other. And instead of common ground, we find uncommon ground. And in situations where you're forced into an environment where you have to compete for the promotion, for the job, for the attention of your boss, or whatever that is, or for the pecking order, you look for those things. So what are those things? And in these two women's cases, it's the big one is the weight, age, right? And we dealt with the generational difference. So we got to use okay boomer lines and stuff like that. And also, and which is ironic because Gen X is always called boomers, but they're the complete opposite of kinds of people. It doesn't make sense. But like, so it's not just the fact that they're different and they call that out. They approach work in a different way.
Hmm.
And I noticed that between the generations, like more of the older generation, especially Gen X, is like your idea is you work yourself to death. You're taught to do that.
Yeah.
And newer generations, they're smarter. They come out and say, "Well, I've gotten educated. I did exactly what you told me to do. I've gotten all the honors. I'm intelligent. I'm willing. I have new ideas. How come I'm not accepted?" And there's an inherent clash to that because this one is doing the work and working harder. In this case, taking it a little bit too far and being insane about it. But in that case, so the younger one doesn't respect the older one, but the older one doesn't also respect the intelligence of the younger one. So you just have an immediate clash. If they took 2 seconds, and in the end of the film, without spoiling it, even though they come to an agreement, one of them still is what they are. Because I'm a big believer in that. Like, was it leopard doesn't change their spots? One of those things that has spots. Zebra? Something. That's lines. I don't know. But yeah, you get it. So like it was very important for me to draw real competitive opposite energies right from like frame one. Like within 10 seconds, you introduce the problem. And then the problem gets intensified to the point where you have a potential solution, which is beat that bitch to work. That's how am I going to solve it? And then the collision and then the aftermath. And it's designed like a reverse of what a normal film is. It's designed, most films start regular scenes, builds to a minor bit of montage to a big montage finish, like a Star Wars, whatever.
Yeah.
This starts with the montage, then goes to a partial montage, more of a linear chase back and forth, and then ends with more something more regular. So I do these things to sort of test my own cinematic language because I've done a lot of projects. I've done 2 features of my own. I've done like 1,000 pieces of content, right? And that's not a brag. That's just what I've done. Like some maybe you hate it, so it's not something to brag about. But done my best. But I feel like I get bored of not challenging myself.
Hmm.
Every film has to be a new challenge, a new height to climb, a new level of quality, a technique I've never tried. Because if I'm to be successful in this industry, uh, I have to push myself. But it's more about me artistically saying, no, do better. And we've seen many directors who are wonderful in the 70s and 80s, and then all of a sudden they just can't do it anymore. And part of that is, I believe, like that drive to go real deep and pull out that idea that's really difficult. And, that's hard. It's really hard. And it keeps you up nights and there's a lot of tears and there's a lot of stress, but you do it because you love it. And you do it to honor the people that have given you the time with you to do it. You honor them by doing it. Just like, I hand out cards and I fight for the promotion of this because I believe in them. I believe in what we're doing. And maybe there is a new paradigm and there's a shift to this and that, but I don't really like to declare those kinds of things. I want to be part of a system that puts out things to bigger audiences. That requires big budgets. I feel like we have the skill to do it. So even though I'm older than 22 years old at this point, I've done it for a long time, I understand I have to prove myself as if I'm 22, but with the skill of a person who's much older. And when you lose that willingness to put yourself on the line, you've lost your edge. And that's okay. But this is one filmmaking, art, really entrepreneurship, or doing something wonderful. It requires you to push real hard. And you do it because you don't know who else to be. And it's a calling. You do it because you truly love the art of sharing, cinema, what you do with people, and the hope that maybe you made somebody laugh. Maybe I made somebody's day better. Maybe you shared this with a friend as a point to create a conversation between the two of you. Maybe in some 0.0001% chance that two people in the office treat each other better because they saw my film, right? That's why I do it. And look, maybe there's a giant paycheck at the end, but you can't take it with you. But I can take the experiences, and this has been a wonderful experience. And I tell you, when I do get my goal of much bigger budgets, I will miss this time. I will really look at these interviews. I'm very grateful to you for taking your time and being with me. It's very touching for me. This is special. One of the hardest things I've ever put myself through at an age. I'm around 50. You know what I mean? I've done it, right? I don't usually say it out loud. Oh my God, they're gonna hate me. They're gonna X me. I don't care. I'm still going to make awesome stuff because I truly believe that you do it till you can't. And I feel like I'm getting better at it. So, and forgive me if that sounds overly confident, but I'm very passionate about spreading the joy of trying to do your best at what you want to do.
Hey, you know what, Jesse? I'm actually glad I'm talking to you on the
Mm.
ground floor because who
Oh,
knows?
thank you. Well, like,
Because
and the ground floor is sometimes the best floor. You know what I mean? And sometimes the greatest work comes out of the ground floor. So if I do my best work ever at the ground floor, I'll, and if I never get in the elevator, that's okay. The people upstairs will be missing out on something on the ground floor. That's all good. We'll be here making great stuff together.
well said. Well, Jesse, thank you very much for carrying this conversation
Thank you.
for us about Bitch, I'm Early. I can't wait to see what's your next project. We'll circle back again on your next
Thank you.
project, and
It's already in the works, my friend.
we'll
Already
be
in the
off
works.
that ground floor. So thank you
Let's
very
go.
much.
Let's go. Appreciate you. Have a wonderful day.
You too.